Well, the senior European police officer has warned that vulnerable refugees stranded across Europe are being preyed upon by organized criminal gangs which force them into prostitution and slave labor. Europe's Chief of Staff, Brian Donald, said the criminal gangs identify unaccompanied children and young women to exploit them in prostitution and illegal labor. He made the comments at an international conference on human trafficking in Madrid. He said that children traveling alone or in groups without adults are particularly at risk. More than 700,000 asylum seekers have arrived in Europe since the beginning of this year. Most of them are fleeing wars in the Middle East and North Africa. Independent scholar and political commentator Wahed Azal joins us now from Berlin to offer us more insight on that story. Mr. Azal, welcome to the program. It seems
Thank you very much.
that the circumstances and conditions for the asylum seekers in Europe seems to be degrading by the day.
It is. And actually, Johannes Wilhelm Rohrig, who is the Federal Commissioner for Child Sexual Abuses, only a few days ago warned that there are very organized criminal pedophile gangs that are quite active within some of these refugee camps. There was a case that unraveled last week right here in Berlin where a 4-year-old Bosnian refugee seeker was found after a month being abducted in the back of someone's car. And it turned out that the individual who abducted this child was a pedophile. We know for a fact that there are organized pedophile gangs with links to Albanian and Kosovar criminal organizations. It's also rumored to have connections to British and American law enforcement and think tank organizations who are covering for these pedophile groups. So the prostitution and slavery is only one tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more going on.
Mr. Azal, the situation with the asylum seekers in Europe is something that has to be remedied gradually. In your opinion, what should be probably the first part of the recipe for bettering the situation, either for the asylum seekers or quelling the issue as a whole itself?
Well, there needs to be a consensus amongst the EU governments themselves on a unified strategy about how to take care of these people, because at the moment there isn't one. So it's Germany doing pretty much the bulk of the work, especially with the refugees that are coming here, where other European countries are doing thing here, another thing there, or they're not doing it, fully, or it's half-hearted. So there needs to be a concerted, unified strategy between these governments. And it has to be watertight, so certain interests we're seeking to undermine these strategies are unable to do so.
Thank you very much. Wahed Azal joining us from Berlin. Your comments are much appreciated here on Press TV.